He said his goodbye at about 6:15 in the morning, 20 to 6. And he said he'd be home later on. And my two youngest children were doing their junior cert and leaving cert. He loved Special Branch. He just was very, very happy there. It was nice to see somebody happy going to their place of work.
She always looked after him, fixed his hair, cut it, put him out in the best clothes every day, going to work. There was often a comment said that he was the best dressed detective in town, and it showed, I suppose, really.
I was worried about him at times when he went out, and he couldn't tell you where he was going some of the time, and you did worry about it. But you were glad to see him home. Still can't come to terms with it, that he could go out to work happy, and then I never saw him anymore after that.
June the 7th, 1996 started out like most Friday mornings here in Limerick Division. A number of post office vans pulled up outside the General Post Office. The West Limerick run, which took in Adair, like the others, left here at about 6:30. It was escorted by Detective Gerry, Gerry and Ben O'Sullivan. They just happened to be assigned to that particular run that morning. He was a very astute and experienced detective. Both Ben and Gerry were actually very sociable individuals, and they got to know an awful lot of people here in the city and county, and that worked to our advantage in investigations over the years here.
We left Limerick at say around 25 to 7, and we drove out here behind the SDS, and
we went out that morning just to do a day's work. I had a bit of a giggle with the two lads in the car because it started to rain. I didn't have any coat, and I was saying to the lads, like, it was alright for you, like, sitting in the car, But then, as I say, things changed in a few minutes.
The SDS van pulled up here just outside the post office, which is almost across the road, and I stopped slightly maybe forward of that Jeep over there, and just shortly after stopping I saw a Pajero Jeep coming up at speed behind us, and I shouted at Gerry because I realised when I saw the occupants that we were in difficulty. I said, "Oh Jesus, Gerry."
Just proceeded to unload the truck as usual. Had the crash. Looked out. The Jeep type vehicle had run into the back of the truck.
I saw a group of men, individuals, to my right, as in the thing passed through position.
They had Palataros on them and kind of an army fatigue type of gear on them, I think there was about 4 or 5 at the most.
One of them was standing roughly in the centre of the shaft of that arrow on the road, and he opened fire straight in through the pillar and windscreen.
They stopped for a few minutes and started shooting again.
First blast, I was struck in my right shoulder, as in here. And the second blast blew my hands off the steering wheel. And threw me in on top of Gerry.
One of them came over to me with the gun in his hand, the AK-47. For a minute I didn't know whether, was I going to be another victim?
I heard shouting again, but I saw nothing because I was thrown in the top of the console of the car.
They were looking into the truck and having a bit of a barney between themselves. One of them said, "All right, leave it, let's go." The car pulled out round to the front of the truck, and they got into the car. At that time, then I went back down to the patrol car. Ben was sitting wounded in the driver's seat.
When the shooting ceased, I saw Gerry's right hand going into spasm. But I put those 2 fingers into his wrist for a pulse, and there wasn't. Or if there was, I didn't find it. And I knew Gerry was dead.
The doorbell rang. I thought it was my children's school friends calling for them to go to school. So when I opened the door, Inspector John Kearns, he was inspector at the time, I didn't know him. And he asked me who I was, and I told him, and he said, "Who was with you?" And I said, "Stacey and Ross." And he said, "Can I come in?" And I said, "Yes." And I still didn't even think for one moment that there was anything got to do with Gerry. But he told me that there had been an accident. And that Gerry was dead. And really after that was a bit of a blank.
I suppose the first one I went up to was Ross. I was pretty close to Ross at the time, and I went up to him, and he was lying in Mum and Dad's bed with his head under the covers. I don't think he took his head from under the covers for 2 or 3 hours, you know. Again, the realisation hadn't hit home, didn't know what was going on at the time. To hear on the news later on that morning that they were gunned down in cold blood and basically blasted into Kingdom Come, and not one but the 2 of them were left for dead there that morning, and then it's kind of dawned on you what was after really happening.
At about 2 o'clock we arrived in Adair, and the street had been cordoned off. The Garda vehicle with the body of Gerry McCabe was covered in plastic, as was the suspect vehicle that was directly behind us. It was a Pajero. I didn't know Gerry. When I looked at him, I still didn't know him. He was the typical old-style detective in the sense that he went to work for 6 o'clock, arrived, clean-shaven, good suit, and a clean shirt and tie. Every day was an important day, and every day they dressed as if they were going to meet the bank manager. Gerry McCabe had been struck several times directly. He'd also been struck by slivers of metal from bullets fragmenting and from metal from the car. The amazing thing on this instance here, that Ben O'Sullivan survived. And in all there were 15 discharge cartridge cases, which straight away led to the conclusion that this was an automatic weapon. And by examining the cartridge, I was satisfied that they were fired by a Kalashnikov assault rifle. And straight away, in looking at the cartridge, I saw that it was a Cyrillic writing, which indicated the lettering NNY, and the year of manufacture is 1982. And this ammunition was unique in this country at that time to the IRA. There was absolutely no crossover of materials, weaponry to any other subversive group.
I think the McCabe family, Anne McCabe, Gerry's widow, and her children, and the rest of her immediate family, and indeed Gerry's many colleagues, particularly in Limerick, have been put through absolute hell over the past 10 years. They are told one thing one day, and another day they're told something else, or they'll find out something by accident. So they're lost.
A statement issued by the Irish Republican Publicity Bureau said there was absolutely no involvement by any of the IRA's members or units.
My position is that I believe the IRA. I would still make the case that I have made that what happened was wrong.
But today, the Garda Commissioner said he had no doubt whatsoever that the shooting was carried out by the provisionals.
Those who have been engaged in armed actions this last week have not been the IRA.
If the Gardaí are right and it was the local IRA, the question arises whether the operation was authorised by the organisation or whether the unit was acting on its own.
In fairness to them, what they did was carry out this act, having been authorised by someone within the IRA to so do.